And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show, broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. Mr. Randy Wang's at the sports desk in Culver City.
John, during his 35-minute sit-down interview with Chuck Todd, Gavin Newsom dropped his favorite African proverb.
And it's the old adage. There's an old African proverb. You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together.
And we've heard Gavin say this so many times this year. Here's Gavin back in May.
We're all, as I said, better off, and we're all better off. You want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, we need to go together.
And here's Gavin in March.
Because we know there's an old African proverb, you want to go fast, go alone, but you want to go far, you got to go together.
And here's Gavin at that same conference in March.
I think there's an old African proverb, some of you heard, said if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Where do you think he learned this old African proverb?
I'm going to guess not Africa.
Here's my theory. He had to wait for a table for about 45 minutes down in Little Ethiopia on Fairfax. And he just studied the art on the wall. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. She is a school board member down in Palos Verdes. She's also the attorney who's suing L.A. County Public Health on behalf of parents who had their ability to communicate with the agency shut off by the fake doctor, Barbara Ferrer. Julie Hamill. Julie Hamill, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm curious to get your take on this because you have devoted so much time, so much energy, so much effort to try to right so many of the wrongs that were done to us, specifically in your case, done to the children of Los Angeles County with the abuse of power that we all experienced throughout the COVID-19 shutdowns and lockdowns. So all of this leads to the question that these individuals who made these decisions should be asking themselves, and that is, what was the point of failure? Where did we go wrong? How do we make sure we never do this again? The question was asked to Gavin Newsom over the weekend on Meet the Press. Here is his response.
What
is something you'd do differently?
Well, I think we would have done everything differently because we understood. We would understand outdoors, as an example.
But then when he was asked, would you do anything different with the schools? Hamina, 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 hamina. I'm not going there, Chuck. The fake doctor was asked this very question herself, and her answer was, she would have done a better job at communication. And by that, she doesn't mean she would have opened up her social media account so people could ask her questions or put up different information than what she was putting out there or challenge her decrees. No. From her point of view, what she should have done is shut down their social media sooner and make sure that you followed her orders better. Your thoughts on the answers to these questions?
Oh, my first reaction is that I want to vomit. I mean, when I hear Newsom say what he said, and then I think back to where I was, at the Getty wedding in November of 2021, and at the NFC Championship in February of 2022, I was battling with my kids' sports leagues and being treated like a social pariah because I didn't want my 5-year-old being forced to wear a mask outside in 90-degree weather while playing basketball. I was banned from a youth sports league. And meanwhile, Gavin Newsom knew. He knew it was fine. He was parading around at the French Laundry. He was going to the Getty wedding. He was going to all these sporting events, and we saw it. And that is what really got us to get together and bring this lawsuit in the first place, because we knew that these people in positions of power and authority knew better. They knew that at that time. And they instead were cowing to union demands and the demands of their political party. And in doing so, they really harmed millions of children. So it makes me physically ill to hear him speak like this, because it's obvious that he's given talking points because he wants to be president, and he has to distance himself from the radical nut jobs in California. Sorry, I'm a little emotional about that.
No, I get it. I got all worked up the first hour, too, because when he's on television, you know that he has to give the right answer, because even though he's termed out as governor here in California, he has aspirations that go beyond the state. And he knows that what he did here isn't going to fly in Iowa and South Carolina and other places, so he has to try to finesse it and walk a fine line. So I believe that he's not as ignorant as he comes off in that interview. I think he knows in his heart of hearts they screwed up, but he has to say it a certain way. The fake doctor is different. I really do believe you could attach the fake doctor to a lie detector test and asked her if she made any mistakes during COVID. And if her answer is, yeah, communication was the mistake, I should have been able to get my point across and have people follow my instructions more promptly, I actually believe her. I think in her heart of hearts, she believes she did nothing wrong. And the only problem that she had to deal with is that there were critics who had a voice.
I agree, 100%. I mean, she proved during the deposition, even though her attorney instructed her not to answer for 50% of the questions, she proved that she lacked any experience or expertise in the realm of responding to a pandemic, and has no business being in a position where she is ordering people locked inside their homes to shut down their businesses, to wear masks outside. She had no business being in that role, still does not. But the people elected to our county board of supervisors are not holding her accountable, and they never will. If they haven't held her accountable, they never will. And we are stuck with these people. So I'm really not sure what to say anymore. It's just ridiculous.
Well, speaking of which, last week we found out that Whoopi Goldberg tested positive for The View, so she missed the first week of tapings on that program. Jill Biden, the First Lady, tested positive for COVID, and she was forced to isolate. We now are having press conferences, regular press conferences again from the fake doctor where she talks about COVID. We have the same hand-wringing articles in the Los Angeles Times about a triple-demic coming back to Southern California this cold and flu season. Do you believe the fake doctor will try to bring back a mask mandate in Los Angeles County?
Yes. I think, we've got a summary judgment hearing in our case this week. I think if this case is kicked, yes, she would love to bring back a mask mandate. She loves to control people. She loves to impose mandates. That's something that she really thrives on, and she's really good at it because she can get away with whatever she wants to do. I don't think there's any special legal status for COVID anymore, though. So I don't understand how anyone is getting away with treating it differently than any other respiratory virus at this point.
Here's what I don't understand. The job of being a public health director in Los Angeles County is multifaceted. You have to wear a number of hats all at once, and you have to keep the information in front of the public so you protect the health and well-being of the people of Los Angeles County, not just the residents. We're an international destination for tourists, so people visiting here need to know if there's a problem. For example, the bacteria in the oceans. You talk to people who live in coastal communities in Los Angeles. After we had the rains, the water was totally disgusting. Lots of pollution, lots of bacteria. Everything that was in the rivers that lead to the ocean ended up in the ocean, and that includes a lot of the homeless encampments with the human waste, the needles, the drugs, the trash, you name it, it ended up in our oceans. And according to the people I talk to who live in coastal Los Angeles, including communities in places like Venice that are very popular with tourists who don't watch the local news here, who don't follow the fake doctor on social media, they were extremely slow to put up signs at the beach saying don't go in the water. They were extremely slow to protect the health of people who have traveled here to swim in our oceans or surf in our oceans or boogie board in our oceans. Those people were absolutely on their own. But now that they have an opportunity to make COVID a big deal again, they are absolutely chomping at the bit. They cannot wait to do it. It almost seems like that's the only thing that office has interest in right now.
Yeah, because it was big money for them, and it was their way to satisfy the union who fund the campaigns of the Board of Supervisors. It's a big moneymaker, actually doing their job. And you know what? I don't want to be critical of the actual employees of public health, because there are good people who can do a good job, who have worked there for a long time and, can grade restaurants and make sure that there's cleanliness in public spaces. I think those people can do a good job, but their leader is a complete moron who is completely motivated by political ends, and that is it. I'm sorry, that wasn't very nice.
No, but it's true, though. And the people who work for her don't like her either, because the people that you just described, the lifers, the people who have a background in science, there are people who actually do have a background in things like chemistry and marine biology and those sorts of things. What she's doing is she's shifting them away from their area of expertise and putting her in the areas that she has an interest in. And she has an interest in COVID lockdown. She has an interest in the mask mandates. She has an interest in everything that we've heard her talk about for several years. And people are working outside their area of expertise, and they're frustrated within that office. A lot of the negative stories that we found out about what was going on in that office came from the people who work there, came from the people who want to do their job, and she won't let them.
Yes, and for example, we received a letter from a whistleblower in the Department of Environmental Health, which is within her Department of Public Health. And they had all received this message in July of 2022 telling them, you're all going to need to work overtime because we're about to implement another mask mandate. So we need you to go around enforcing this at local businesses. These are people within the Environmental Health Division. And those people were very angry that they were being asked to do that. So, that's another reason why. If they're shifting resources away from what these people are supposed to be doing, they're actively harming actual public health.
Where do you think Barbara Ferrer stands right now with the board? And I say that because she wanted to bring the mask mandate back the last time, and she didn't have 3 votes. We knew that she didn't have Catherine Barger. We knew she didn't have Janice Hahn. She lost Hilda Solis at the 11th hour. Hilda gave her half a loaf by attacking people like us on social media, but by siding against her when it came down to providing the 3rd vote for the mask mandate. I've seen no evidence that shows that Hilda has reversed her position on that. Lindsay Horvath, who is new to the board and wasn't there for many of these battles in the past, has a very similar political profile to Sheila Kuehl, with the exception of the fact that Sheila was nearing the end of her political career and really didn't have aspirations for higher office. Lindsay Horvath is at the beginning of her political career and is extremely ambitious, which means if she views you as a political problem, she's going to drop you in ways that Sheila Kuehl wouldn't have done in the past. Do you think that the politics of the board has changed any, and that maybe in a way that Ferrer could bring back the mask mandates, or do you think things have stayed pretty static?
I don't know how to answer that, but I do know that if these women cared about actual public health and the Constitution, and if they actually cared about their constituents and their families, they would get rid of Ferrer. And they haven't done that. So they either don't know what's going on, or they don't care about public health, and they don't care about the Constitution, and they don't care about their constituents.
I don't know if you followed this story, but over the weekend, the governor of New Mexico said that she declared a state of emergency for gun violence in her state, and said that because she declared a state of emergency, she has the ability to suspend the United States Constitution, and she can do whatever she wants. She had a press conference where she made those arguments in front of the New Mexico press corps. And as I sat there watching it, I said to myself, if she gets away with this, can you imagine what's going to happen to us in regard to COVID or climate change or any of the other subjects that Barbara Ferrer could suddenly attach herself to and say, wait a minute, we have a state of emergency in Los Angeles County, and if there's a state of emergency, your constitutional rights don't exist.
Well, and that's been my concern from the beginning. It's not just about COVID. It's not just about masks. It's about a government agency doing whatever the hell it wants and suspending constitutional rights because there's a purported emergency. That's not a good precedent. That's not American. And that's what we're dealing with. So I don't think that this New Mexico edict is going to survive constitutional scrutiny, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see similar actions coming out of places like L.A. I could absolutely see our county board of supervisors doing something similar.
Yeah, and you can declare a state of emergency on any number of subjects. We have one due to homelessness. So if there's a state of emergency due to homelessness and suddenly you can supersede things like private property rights, then the sky's the limit.
Especially when you've got self-proclaimed democratic socialists elected to the city council. I mean, we're not that far away from this happening.
Julie Hamill, the plaintiff's attorney suing the L.A. County Department of Public Health on behalf of the students of Los Angeles County. Julie, if people want to follow you on Twitter, how can they do that?
At Hamill, HAMILL_law.
Julie, you're doing great work. Keep it up, and thanks so much for stopping by today.
Thanks for having me.
If you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, it feels like today's show is so action-packed. If you were to go back and listen to it a second time, just in case you missed something the first time, that's easy to do.
That's right. Go to KABC.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. Search for The John Phillips Show on YouTube. You can download everything there as well. And you can go back and listen to Gavin Newsom and see if he pissed you off as much as he pissed John off in the first hour.
And I want you to be all the way pissed off.
I'm still worked up over that.
And it's Monday.
Randy, you and I are going on the road later this week.
That's right. This Friday from noon to 3, John and I are going to be broadcasting live at the Gelson's in Century City. That's right. The Gelson's in Century City, their food market, has a wine bar. We're going to be there at the wine bar from noon to 3. So come on down, grab a picture. We're going to be giving away prizes. I think we're even giving away T-shirts. Haven't done that in years. We're going to be having lunch together, grab a burger, maybe get some poke nachos, do a tasting at his wine bar. And we're going to be there noon to 3. So come on down and stop by. We'd love to see you this Friday, noon to 3 at the Gelson's in Century City in the Westfield Shopping Center.
Today, of course, is the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on the United States, so it's a good time to say thanks to all of those who died, who perished that tragic day when the planes hit the two towers in New York City, the Pentagon, and the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, all the first responders who showed up to save the lives that they could and recover the remains that were left behind. And, of course, the people who were there to clean it up and rebuild. And if you've never been to the 9/11 Memorial in New York City, it's certainly worth seeing at some point in your life. It's something that all of us in the United States suffered together, and it's something that I think most of us, if not all of us, would benefit from seeing. So if you're ever in New York City, I highly recommend that you swing by the memorial and take a look at that. What's interesting is that the memorial service is going on right now at Ground Zero in New York City, and the White House did not send Joe Biden. He's in Vietnam right now on an international trip.
Well, now he's in Alaska, speaking of it. He made it to soil so he could speak about it. He's in Alaska talking, but I don't think because of the way the plane's scheduled, he was going to be able to make it to New York in time to do anything. So he's in Anchorage.
So they sent Kamala Harris instead. You think that they're going to try to swap her in for him?
We are doing it.
I mean, after looking at Pony Soldier yesterday, there are worse options.
So she's there with all the dignitaries, the mayor of New York City, the governor of New York, former Mayor Bloomberg. They're on all the news channels today at the memorial service when he's over in Vietnam talking about lying dog-faced pony soldiers.
I will repeat myself.
Something to think about. Here's another thing to think about. Crime in Oakland, as you know, is absolutely through the roof. The 911 system fails constantly. They blew up a basketball court on the 4th of July. A football practice got canceled because they all got shot at last week. And every day it seems like there's some new cartoonish crime that happened in broad daylight and no one ever gets arrested or prosecuted.
You know, it had me thinking this weekend, we could bring back an old favorite game of yours, Oakland or not Oakland.
So even the local elected seem to be aware that the population up there is sick of it. But instead of having meetings with the people who live there, what they do is they have meetings with people who are invited in a room with limited space so that the people who want answers from their elected officials can't get access to the room. But they could say they're not dodging the public, they're having an event, there's just no room for you.
And so you have thousands of pissed off Oaklanders standing outside of this church where this community safety meeting was happened. And Johnny, to put it lightly, they were all the way pissed off.
And I want you to be all the way pissed off.
There was one particular man who showed up who wanted answers, who was not allowed in the room, who gave a couple of speeches outside that room that went viral over the internet. And Randy, when you listen to the details of what the man was talking about, he very easily could have been a listener to this show.
Now, I went through this with a fine-tooth comb. I think I got all the curse words out of it, but I'm going to be riding the dump button just in case. But here, we'd like to introduce you to Oakland Man.
They don't really care about us.
They got the opportunity to come meet us out right now. There's a nice, we vote. All of us vote, and we going to remember this. You feel what I'm saying? We going to remember when they couldn't come outside and talk to us because they too far in their ass. You feel me? We out
here. Again, fact check true.
You feel me? We out here suffering.
No, you don't.
We suffer. If I put somebody right now, you know how long it take the police to get here? You feel what I'm saying?
Oh, they would hang up on you.
You wouldn't even get through. 911 doesn't even work up there.
You feel what I'm saying? It's wild, wild west out here. And they don't give a damn about us. They send this puppet who ain't even from this community to say nothing.
That was not an F or an S.
No, that was an N-bomb.
To say nothing. To say nothing. To pacify us.
Hold on, I need to grab this. I don't think I'm going to use it, but
it's wild, wild west out here.
I feel like I could use it. So I'm just going to save that, and we'll continue with Mr. Oakland.
The people who vote, the people who vote, the people who live here. You feel me? We get treated like stepchildren in our own neighborhood. Why'd you come here? I'm trying not to cuss. Why'd y'all?
Well, the effort is admirable, sir.
Why'd y'all come to this neighborhood? Why does our 911 not work? Why when we call code enforcement to get some of these homeless people away from us, we get no answer for 4-5 months? Why is that? Why are we on our own? Why are we giving y'all police a paycheck? Why are we giving the city council a check? They not doing no work. We gotta we gotta police our own community, like the Black Panthers did in the end. You feel what I'm saying? You don't care about us.
Oh boy.
That was another N-bomb.
So when we vote, hey, when everybody vote, remember this. Remember they never let us in. Oh, I vote. And that ranked choice voting is unconstitutional.
He's 100% right on that. Ranked choice voting is the most screwed up thing on planet Earth.
That's how they ended up with Shang Tao.
Be removed. One vote. One person, one vote. That's it. Because up there they playing political chairs. Mayor Libby was hooked with Willie Brown and them. They won Little Cone Society. And Galvin Newsom gonna be the next president.
Oh boy.
God, let's hope he's wrong on that one.
Because they all politically ass-kissing. They don't do no work. They don't do no work. They haven't solved homelessness. They haven't solved jobs in here. And hold on. Why is everybody leaving and rent ain't going down? That's some
Now that is a brilliant thought that I don't even think about. People are fleeing Oakland, and yet it's still expensive as hell to live there.
Well, you can apply that to the whole state. We lost a congressional seat because of the decline in population. We've seen the decline in population with our own two eyes. The traffic patterns are different. People are moving out of state. How many of you know someone in your own personal life who has left the state recently? I have a ton of people I know in my social circle who have left the state. Yet he's right. The prices of real estate have gone up. The prices in rent have gone up. The amount of money it costs you to remodel a house or build a house has exploded. Everyone's leaving, but it's more expensive to live here.
Hold on. Why is everybody leaving and rent ain't going down? That's some That's some
That was the same curse word 3 times in a row.
I enjoyed it.
It was a B with an S.
Everybody leaving this city and the rent ain't going down. Why? Because these corporations are buying the houses. It's not the individual sellers. All these corporations is buying the houses, so they set a false market. Period. They bet. Libby bet on that tech and lost. Why the we ain't winning if it ain't a capitalist society? If it's a capitalist society, we should be winning.
That guy is amazing.
I'll tell you, he speaks the truth.
Let's hear more from Oakland Man.
Fire him for being lazy, but you can fire him from overreacting. So I think the whole police force is silently, I bet you it's a memo with you. I bet you it's a memo, your rep, somebody told y'all to don't go after him. Don't enforce the law. I've seen people do donuts around these. I've seen people drive off right in front, they don't do nothing. Call him now, say I punch you in your mouth. And I bet them wouldn't even come.
He's not wrong.
You feel me what I'm saying? It's wild, wild west out here. When we had enough. If you ain't gonna do nothing, get the office. Period. Go home. Go back to where you was. I'm tired of this. This come from a photo shoot. That's all they here for, bro. No problem. Thank you.
I believe I know how he'll be voting on Pamela Price's recall.
Yeah. My guess is he won't be showing up to the fundraiser.
I mean, these people so far up their ass, they can't even see what time of day it is. They got these many people to talk to. Just come outside. We ain't worthy. You in our neighborhood. They don't want change. They want the same as usual. Why? Because look at what Mayor Libby did. Let's do it this. She's a Willie Brown crony, right? So she done peddled her way through Oakland, and now she's making how much? She's a consultant for a tech company, right? Wasn't that kind of set up? Now we got
Libby cashed in.
She's making a lot of money now.
Now we got a mayor that don't even know black people at all. Want to get a soccer stadium out here? How about feed? Come on. The priorities of hell is messed up. She need to come down and ask us what they need to do is come down, sit at a table, ask us questions. We ask them questions. We give them answers. They give us answers, and we solve the problem.
But they didn't want to do that.
No. Apparently, I read somewhere, and don't quote me on this because it's social media, so who knows. But I read somewhere that one of the reasons that this gentleman was so upset at this meeting is because there's a homeless encampment that was next to his house, and they burned his house down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's upset that code enforcement doesn't work and clean out the encampments. He's upset that 911 doesn't work when you have something to report like a fire. So the house burned down. I'm sure he's having to rent something now after he can't live in his house. And he's just getting shut down by the city at every turn.
It's wild, wild west out here.
Now, one of the problems that someone like Joe Biden is facing next time around is that black men in particular are usually reliable Democratic voters who aren't happy right now. And you listen to the arguments that he was making against the Oakland City Council, the district attorney, the mayor, and you could apply that to government up and down the ladder. You heard him mention Gavin Newsom. You heard him mention Willie Brown. he's not happy with how the government is working for him across the board. I would imagine that a lot of this anger applies to the people who are running the federal government, too. Maybe he won't ever vote for someone like Donald Trump. I think that would probably be a tough putt for someone like this guy. However, if you put Cornel West on that ballot and give him the option to throw up the middle finger to the people in charge who aren't doing their job, and he doesn't have to vote for Donald Trump, but he can register his anger a different way, that's the threat of having someone like Cornel West on the ballot for someone like Joe Biden. Because I bet you, if you take the political profile of that man, the man you just heard speaking, who is on the opposite side of the fence of the Democratic Party right now on crime, on homelessness, on any number of subjects, inflation, he's someone who they could lose. He is absolutely someone they could lose. And that's a real problem for him because he wasn't one guy screaming into the wilderness. There are a bunch of people outside that room in Oakland who are furious at how their government is treating them. Furious. If you live in a one-party state and you're the one party and that's the government you're delivering, at some point you're going to have problems. At some point. Because that man was all the way pissed off.
Cecily, bring it home.
And I want you to be all the way pissed off.
If you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Well, we've got a lot of crack researchers at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com, people that look in music libraries to find different things that relate to what we're talking about on the show. And Steven writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and let me know something that I wasn't aware of. Oakland man, before he was ranting on the steps of an East Oakland church, he tried out for the part of Cool Mo D in Will Smith's Wild Wild West.
If you ever riff with either one of us, break out before you get bum rushed at the
Wild Wild West.
When I roll into the
Wild Wild West.
When I stroll into the
Wild Wild West.
When I bounce into the
Wild Wild West.
That is a catchy tune.
If you ever riff with either one of us, break out before you get bum rushed at the
Wild Wild West.
When I roll into the
Wild Wild West.
When I stroll into the
Wild Wild West.
When I bounce into the
Wild Wild West.